From a mishap in Malaysia ending in utter catastrophe, and a Russian tugboat landing the complete wrong way, to a $1 million yacht sinking after slipping from its harness, and an oil spill in the Galapagos that nobody saw coming, here are 10 ship launches gone horribly wrong. Somewhere in Australia, a master and his apprentice decided it was a good day for boating. They rigged their motorboat, named the Iceberg, to the Truk and hauled her over to the local marina. All that was left to do was lower her in and sail away. Slow and steady are the keys to a successful boat launch. Of course, that's assuming everything else goes according to plan. These guys seem to be doing everything right. Then, everything went horribly wrong.
Bourbon's away.
There's the bourbon. Hey, see you later.
And that's where the brakes just, yeah.
That's where the brakes should be. When you go to the floor?
But you're on the wrong side of the boat,
Did the brake go to the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You bust a hose or something. Surprisingly, there's a little oil in there. That's what I'm amazed about. That's why I was stressing to get it out before oil went everywhere.
There was only oil when we started putting it out.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed.
At least you didn't have to get out the doors, eh? Straight out the back
Still
window.
good. Shoes wet.
NASCAR driver.
Yeah. It's about here saying, oh no, I want to keep my shoes dry.
No, that was you to jump back. That was it.
The Iceberg lowers slowly into the water, with our boating master signaling his apprentice to give it a little more slack. Everything goes smoothly until the brakes on their truck fail, and both vehicles plunge into the water. The truck begins sinking immediately, but the apprentice climbs through the back window. You can hear them joking about not wanting to get his shoes wet as they re-watch the footage. Thankfully, our boater thinks quickly and pushes the truck toward the shallow water. So, even though it sinks, it's not far out in the middle of the marina. Crazy rich Russians had trouble holding on to their $1 million yachts long before the 2022 sanctions. Of course, most of them are rich enough to buy 3 more. In August of 2012, one unlucky Russian millionaire just wanted to spend some time on their luxury yacht. The Universe and crane operator had other plans. The multi-million-dollar yacht hangs over the canal, and things don't look too good from the start. Unfortunately, there isn't any audio, but you don't need any sound to grasp what happens next. The boat leans awkwardly before the crane gives way, and the yacht nosedives into the water. To make matters worse, the yacht lands upside down, doing untold damage to the interior and main deck. The story first appeared in Bloomberg in 2012, but the article has since been deleted. You'd think such a massive mistake would warrant more coverage, but who knows? Maybe somebody didn't want the story getting out. On January 28th of 2022, a fishing boat in Patani, Thailand needed some repairs. 2 cranes arrived to pull the boat out of the water. One crane was supposed to support the bow while the other held the stern. As both cranes lifted the vessel out of the water, the cables holding the stern broke, leaving one crane to support the ship's weight. Spoiler alert, it was too heavy. The cranes almost have the fishing boat onto the dock when the cables finally snap. The rear crane whips backward while the other starts falling toward the water. Our crane operator leaps from the cockpit at the absolute last second and lands hard on the dock. He crawls to safety as his crane plummets into the sea. Later, we get a close-up view of the wreckage. These guys are probably thinking, we're gonna need a bigger crane. According to reports, the crane operator broke his leg when he jumped from the cockpit. They brought him to the hospital where he was apparently in good spirits. The company covered his medical expenses, as they should, and he got a death-defying story to tell. On September 29th of 2011, a luxury Chinese yacht called the SS Jiugang prepared for its maiden voyage. The vessel cost about $2.7 million and was probably the most luxurious thing in this small Chinese village on the banks of the Yellow River. Workers positioned the boat on launching airbags and lowered it towards the water. Unfortunately, the entire operation was doomed before it even started. The launch is clearly a local spectacle as people gather on stage to see the ship off. You can hear the crackling airbags as workers use rope to lower the boat. But the bow starts sinking when it hits the water. Soon, almost a third of the ship is submerged. All our workers can do is play the blame game. Someone clearly made a miscalculation. According to reports, they underestimated the river's depth, causing the yacht to take on water. It sat like that for 4 days until they finally dragged it ashore. They were able to salvage the boat, but what happened after that is a mystery. On August 5th of 2014, in the Malaysian state of Sarawak, a shipping company prepared to launch its latest investment. They were excited to watch their new boat glide down the launching ramp and sail out to sea. According to Murphy's Law, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Unfortunately, this launch couldn't have gone any worse for the crew on board. Someone should have knocked on wood before embarking on their maiden voyage.
Launching of main port Tara. Launching. See that? Oh! Wow!
The only thing holding the ship in place are a few cables attached to the dock. They get the green light to release, and the cables break away. The ship rolls down the airbags, and the bow plunges into the water. Excitement fills the air as the crew gathers on a balcony to watch. Moments later, they're holding on for dear life. The boat capsizes portside in the shallow water and starts floating away. As the ship floats away, we see the crew members climb over the railing and onto the side, which is now the top. Hopefully, our shipping company had some kind of catastrophic launch insurance. In the coastal South African province of KwaZulu-Natal, a group of friends quickly learned how not to launch a boat. The plan seemed simple enough. Use the Jeep to push the trailer into the water and let the waves do the rest. Our driver must have missed the part about slow and steady because they decided to gun it toward the ocean instead. The driver starts off slow, but then decides to punch the gas once they pick up a little momentum. Then, they slam on the brakes, causing the boat to slide off the trailer and get stuck in the shallow water. Thanks to Newton's first law, those on board keep going, and one topples over the side of the boat. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, the Jeep gets stuck in the mud. Now how are they supposed to get the boat out? Our cameraman, Jared Opperman, said he couldn't help but laugh at the massive screw-up. You had one job, he told the driver, but then again, I can't imagine a scenario where this type of launch actually works to begin with. On December 21st of 2011, somewhere in the middle of the ocean, a crew was tasked with lifting a small tugboat out of the water and loading it onto a barge. Judging by the language and accents, we can assume the crew was from Russia. But something about how these guys conduct themselves tells us catastrophe is right around the corner. They seem a little too casual for a group of dudes lifting a multi-ton boat out of the water. So, it was to nobody's surprise when the worst-case scenario occurred.
Так это хорошо, еще не в рог, блядь. Ой, ой, ой! Ебать копать! Ебать копать! Зафиксируйте, блядь!
Машину заводим, да? Пробили танки,
Где танки пробили?
If we take a look at that again, it's clear that the boat seems incredibly unstable as the crane moves it towards the barge. Something falls off and rolls across the tugboat's deck. Was that enough to break the proverbial camel's back? The cables snap and the boat bounces off the deck before plummeting into the water. Our Russian cameraman gasps and then repeats the same phrase twice. Whatever he said, we imagine it wasn't anything encouraging. Why they were out there, we can't say for sure. Perhaps it was a search and rescue mission or some kind of transport job. Either way, someone had some explaining to do when they returned to shore, one tugboat short. San Cristobal Island is the easternmost island in the Galapagos archipelago. It's famous for being the island Charles Darwin first visited in 1835. Otherwise, San Cristobal has kept to itself in recent years. On December 23rd of 2019, a barge carrying 600 gallons of diesel fuel was preparing to either load or unload in Puerto Baquerizo Moreno. A crane began hoisting the heavy container above the ship, but the weight proved to be a hair too much. The crane tips forward and the container crashes onto the ship. The weight pulls the crane onto its front tires and drags it into the water. The boat capsizes and begins sinking as the crew leaps off the side for safety. Workers arrive on a dinghy to remove small debris from the water, but there is little they can do about all that diesel. The Ecuadorian president declared a state of emergency, and officials took immediate action to reduce environmental damage. As for what caused this accident, it seems to be a classic issue of counterweight. You should never take basic training drills for granted, especially when they involve safety measures on board a ship. Take this lifeboat drill, for example. If something goes wrong and you lose the boat, well, it looks like you're going down with the ship. A crew was practicing a routine lifeboat procedure in the middle of the ocean. All they had to do was make sure the crane could lift the boat and put it back in place. It sounds about as dull as it looks, but then something goes horribly wrong. The lifeboat nears the top of the crane and workers reach out to grab the side. But the boat is just out of reach, so the crane operator pulls it closer. But something goes wrong and the cables snap. The boat tumbles back down and splashes in the water, and the video cuts out shortly after. Thankfully, the lifeboat was unmanned since this was just practice. Now, we're not sure what went wrong, whether this was human error or some mechanical malfunction. Let's just hope they didn't need the lifeboat for the rest of the voyage. On March 15th of 2014, rising water on the River Thames in London caught one captain entirely off guard. Shortly after launching, the captain realized he had made a grievous mistake. His million-dollar yacht was on a collision course with the Richmond Bridge, and dozens of sunbathing bystanders were about to watch the most embarrassing moment of his life.
Pizda, žinai, kiek babkių čia kainuos dabar? Žiedarpis. Atbulinį piskvelnės. Fucking hell. GG, ragas, pakibo, srovė per stipriai.
The captain tries to get under the bridge, a bridge he can generally pass through, but he realizes he'll never make it. According to UK news, strong currents caused the Thames to rise 7 feet, making it impossible to clear for such a large yacht. Our captain backs out and tries to spin the boat, but he gets caught in the current. He collides with the Richmond, spurring a collective "oh" among the crowd. The water level eventually returned to normal and our captain passed under the bridge. Of course, that's after scraping up the top and side of his yacht. Hopefully, the damage wasn't too bad. To see another video just like this one, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching and we'll catch you next time.